We are putting the Masters of the Universe Origins and Mega Construx PowerCon 2021 reveals under a microscope, so join us as we go deep on two of our favorite lines. And before we dive into the episode, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you can be alerted to the latest reviews, news, and episodes when they drop. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Toy Habits. I'm Michael, and with me, as always, is my collector in crime, Larry. Now, getting to see these figures live was one of the highlights of attending PowerCon in person, so we made sure to take several up-close shots, and we're here to share the details with you for the Mega Construx and the Origins lines that you didn't see in the panel presentations. We also dug up images of the forthcoming Rulers of the Sun figures so we can show what these figures could look like. So let's get things kicked off with the Mega Construx line with Zombie He-Man and the Slime Pit.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this set. I've grown to like the little Skeletor heads more and more, and I think this one may end up being my favorite just of the Skeletor head itself. I like the glow in the dark one a lot.
Yeah.
But this translucent green is just super cool, and having that zombie He-Man in there, such a cool looking figure. And I think that they've done a really good job with it of making it kind of a fun little recreation of the Slime Pit.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really small contained build, and that no mess slime piece that they were talking about. It's a pretty cool little way to go with that. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a cool set.
Could you imagine digging slime out of the little Mega Construx holes, like little Lego holes that they have? No, that would be insane.
It would drive me crazy because I'd never be able to get all the slime off of them. And
yeah, it's funny because I've grown to really like the Skeletor heads now. I think just because they have little dioramas and you get introduced to more figures in the line, which I'm always a fan of. And it puzzles me because the Slime Pit was a horde trap machine that transformed everybody into a lumbering, mindless slime zombie. So it's funny that they chose to do a Skeletor head on this instead of introducing a Hordak head, which I think would have been really cool. But I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and I agree. I guess I wish that maybe we would have gotten this translucent Skeletor head earlier, and then they would transition over to Hordak heads or something. That would be cool, just to kind of add some variety into it. And then maybe next year maybe you start going into Snake Man and you release a King Hiss style head and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But this one's cool.
I like it that it's more contained than some of the other sets.
Yeah, for my shelf anyways, I haven't kept these sets assembled in the head. I've actually just put the heads out and I just kind of display those, and then I have the figures just by themselves. I've actually got Fisto driving the battle ram or something.
Nice.
And
yeah, no, that's cool. I like that. I should take some cues from your display shelf.
Well, it's ever changing, so I mean, if you could, and then the next week it'd just be different anyway.
That's true. That's true. I'd constantly be changing, which I am anyway. But
yeah,
the nature of the game. All right, next up we have the Landshark that comes with Battle Armor Skeletor and Roboto.
Yeah, this is a cool looking set. I like that they've got kind of the functional parts of the Landshark. I think that's cool. I kind of imagine running along a table or on the floor and having the jaw open and close, and they did a good job with the Roton driving that around. You get the spinning action. And I think it's cool that they're incorporating some of the play features and things. It makes it fun to build it and then fun to kind of mess around with it afterwards. So
yeah, it does look like a really fun build, and I've never put tank treads on a Mega Construx or any Lego piece, so I'm trying to wonder, am I going to have trouble with this?
I almost wonder if it looks like a separate piece, but it could be that they've just got, just a molded piece that you just snap on, and then maybe the action is activated by another set of rollers or something. Who knows?
That would be perfect for me.
But yeah, and then of course the figure selection with this one is really outstanding. I mean, getting Roboto in there. I don't have the Amazon Heroes 5-pack yet, so I haven't gotten to really take a good look at Roboto. But yeah, it looks like a really cool sculpt. And what I like about that figure is that the red, that bottom part of his mask is longer than, let's say, on the vintage Roboto, Origins Roboto. Even the vintage style head for classics, that red part of his head always feels a little stumpy to me. It feels too short.
Yeah.
And I like that this is longer. It just looks better somehow. It doesn't, you don't have that kind of that empty gap in his neck. You know, I think that's what I like about this. So I think it's really cool looking.
Yeah, it's a good one. And I like the inner parts, and I can't really tell if those are actual gears or stickers that they've put on there. So I don't know if it's like gears baked into the plastic or not, but the blue ones kind of look internal to me, and maybe this the way that they're arranged, but it looks really cool because the mini comic Roboto is just a silver chest. There's no inner parts in it. So this is my first time seeing something like this, and I know I was there and up close, but these things are so tiny.
Oh yeah, and you're
so hard to tell.
Yeah, exactly. It could be that the red and the green are printed on the outside part of that plastic, and the blue is printed on the inside.
Oh yeah,
that would give it that kind of that depth.
Yeah,
so that could.
I'd buy that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like the blues on his arms, and I do like that they'd carried over that technical design that they've had on the mini comic one. I know it's just a repaint and just a color change, but I think it gives the figure a lot more dimension to the arms instead of just having just straight blue arms.
Yeah, I think so. And you know, I think going forward it'd be kind of cool if they started throwing in some different pieces in future sets. Like maybe you throw in a 2000X style Roboto head. Or, you know, because you can start doing that with some of these things now. You're getting a really fleshed out line.
Yeah.
Because we've gotten quite a few figures. And so you could start seeing some of the different versions of these characters. And I think that'd be a kind of a cool extra benefit to continuing to buy the new ones and have the old sets too. So.
Yes. Speaking of new characters that I would wish to have in the line coming with this set is I wish they actually did not put out another Battle Armor Skeletor. I mean, he looks cool, but it's really, it's an exact repaint of the one that came with the Panther Point Dread set, but with the little battle damage piece. So it would have been cool to have another villain in the line. Like Clawful would have been cool.
Yeah, if it is just a straight repaint and the only thing you're getting is kind of that variant.
Yeah, I'm looking damage. I'm looking right at him, so it's I just threw him.
You don't have to be so mad about it. I mean,
I know, right? I think I'm done.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. We always want more characters, but I'm thinking that, you know, probably from a cost perspective, of course, they're looking at this as they've already got this figure, they don't have to design another one, and it is a little bit different, of course, so it's not just a straight re-release of the figure.
Yeah, that's true. All right, next up we have the Hordak Strike set.
It's a pretty cool build. It looks like it'll be a lot of fun. I want to see kind of like the mobility of it, you know, like what kind of action feature stuff were they able to keep in there, because it looks like it's going to be really fun. It looks like it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at it closer, the legs are on a ball joint, so really the only thing that you can have is that claw and possibly a spinning head.
Yeah, and I could see both of those things being in there. Getting that mini comics colored Prince Adam. Yeah, that's a pretty cool inclusion in there. Yeah, because I feel like that figure was supposed to be released in one of the other sets before, and he got pulled out. I think it was the Sky Sled was going to be its own set, and it was going to include him incorporated the Sky Sled and Battle Ram set, and I think he got pulled out because otherwise, you know, you start driving the price up because they wanted to release other figures in there. So
yeah, money talks.
Yep, and as long as we're still getting them, we're getting them in this set, so I think it's fine, you know, as long as you still end up with a figure later on, it's okay.
Yeah, no, I like that aspect. And I love that they're doing the mini comic versions of these figures because I think, one, that they're a lot more colorful than some of the standard releases, so it just puts bright colors back on the shelf.
Yeah, and then of course, I've also got the first She-Ra figure for the line, and she looks really good.
Yeah. I'm super excited about that one, and I love that they're introducing the pop figures in the line, and I think similar to the mini comic figures, they have the opportunity to add a lot of more bright colors, because if you think of the pop figures from the vintage line and the classics line, it's all like pinks and purples and light blues and yellows, and it just looks so cool.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they've got a lot of things upcoming. They've talked about kind of moving into, you know, Revelation stuff, and they were talking about they still have a lot of vintage things to finish up.
Yeah.
Well, they said Origins, but I think that's what they're talking about. They're trying to try to get to a point where they feel like they've completed what they want to do with kind of those vintage style sets. And then I wouldn't be surprised if maybe summer of next year we start seeing some different things come out that's, you know, more like Revelations, or maybe the new Netflix animated series. And hopefully some of the pop stuff comes along with it. You know, I'd like to see them I mean, Lego's got like their regular line, and they've kind of done like the Friends line that's more the pinks and stuff like that. So I think it'd be cool. You could do a whole pop line, basically.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
they have so many characters that they could draw from there. I think that would be neat. It's like, but also characters and play sets and creatures and
Oh yeah, Swiftwind would be awesome.
Yeah. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I think the She-Ra it's very similar to the way that they've done like Evil Lyn. It's like it's like a painted torso, and then there's some other molded plastic part on the bottom where the skirt is. So yeah, she looks really good.
They've done a really good job on the hair, because that's, to me, that's kind of the toughest part.
Yeah,
is making that long plastic hair like that, trying to make it look okay.
Yeah,
to me would be a real challenge, but I think it looks great.
Yeah, and in that back shot that we have, we get a closer look at that power sword. So it's a nice gold, and it's like a reddish brown, or is it more like a burnt umber? I've always wanted to say that word.
Yeah, it's a cool looking. I like the colors of it a lot.
And then we have our arch nemesis Hordak. He looks awesome.
He does look good. He looks a little swollen
in the armor,
kind of poofy. But I think that's just bound to happen with some of this stuff. I mean, you're trying to get enough material there to get that bat, you know, and have the wings and kind of the correct design for it. So I think that's probably just part of it. But when you get a close-up of a figure like that, it's bound to happen. But he's got his crossbow, which is really cool.
Yeah, that looks neat.
His cape looks good. So I kind of hope he has a staff too, but I don't know if he will.
I know, it's like there's something missing in that left hand there.
Yeah, it looks like maybe he was supposed to have a staff, or he's just doing like a Darth Vader force choke or something maybe.
Yeah, all of them are. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of the sets that are coming out like this. Yep. And the next one, the Havoc Staff, seeing this one in person was spectacular. It was just so impressive, and I wasn't really expecting to see something like this. I was like, I saw that glass display with the minifigures, and then I was like, I turned my head and I was like, wait, what is that?
Yeah,
this one looks really, really fun to build too.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I still can't imagine seeing, something like this in brick form. They said 740 pieces, I believe, because that doesn't seem like very many for this, but I'm guessing that, a lot of the pieces for the actual like staff part, are probably like the longer sections and stuff. So
I would hope so, because this would probably rival Castle Grayskull if they made you put all those little pieces around. That would suck.
Yeah. Big fingers would be all torn up and take a day off of work to recover.
You need to take a week off of work just to put this thing together. But
yeah, it looks good.
It's cool. It's got a lot of intricate detail, and I love that it has hollow eyes. It kind of resembles Skeletor, because this Havoc Staff doesn't have a really pronounced nose to it. And so it kind of looks like a mashup between Skeletor and the Havoc Staff to me.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that before, but that's true, because it's kind of got that almost like caved in like nose cavity or whatever, and it does add it to the hollowness of the eyes, so it's pretty creepy.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this one, and I think you can take the ram's head off too, so this is definitely going on the wall. I might make a space and throw it behind me if I ever get this and put it together.
Yeah, they didn't mention a price point for this one, so I think we settled on probably $100, right?
I think so.
It still seems pricey for 740 pieces, but I think because of what it is, it's a 40-inch long Havoc Staff. So yeah. I think I wouldn't be surprised with $100. I probably wouldn't be surprised with 150, really.
Yeah, the box is probably going to be huge. That's probably making up some of the cost.
That's true. Yep.
But yeah, I can't wait to see what the box looks like, and just to get this in hand would be awesome. All right, well, that wraps up the Mega Construx line that we saw in the Mattel booth, and let's move on to the Masters of the Universe Origins reveals, and we're kicking it off with Buzz-Off.
Yeah, Buzz-Off looks really cool. It's exciting to see him with that Origins articulation. The wings look really cool, similar to what they did in Classics, but obviously not the same.
It's funny, because I was looking at the Classics figure, because I didn't remember the antennas coming off of the helmet in the vintage figure, but they're actually molded and sculpted onto the helmet, just really flat, and they made them pop out in the Classics version up here. So it's kind of a nice homage the way that they put those two little brown antennas peeking out of the helmet.
So are those part of the helmet then, or are there holes in the helmet?
I was wondering that too. I don't know. I was trying to think like if it would look weird if you would take the helmet off and then there's just two antennas coming out of his head. But I'm assuming that they're part of the helmet.
Yeah, he looks cool. I like the coloring of this, I think, more than like the classics figure. Somehow the coloring, it just obviously it looks more like what the vintage one was.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool.
It's a much brighter yellow that they used. I think they used it's more of like a mustardy brown on the classics figure.
And I think the wings too, it looks like a brighter yellow plastic, because I think that's something that always kind of bothered me about the classics figure, was that those wings it's like a faded yellow. They're almost the brightness of the
they're almost clear.
Yeah,
they're very faint. Yeah, and the circuitry looks cool on them. I like that they kind of incorporated that effect in there. Yeah, he's definitely got the legs that he shares with Clawful, and I agree. Like it's cool to see this in Origins, and it's another one I really can't wait for, because it was such a cool figure to play with as a kid.
There's a few of them that are like that for me, because I almost feel like I had two separate sets of memories for Motu stuff. Like I remember playing with He-Man and Prince Adam and Trapjaw with Castle Grayskull, but then I also remember playing with Buzz-Off and Cyclone and Webstore. Those are and Clawful. Those, like, they just feel like two separate times in my life somehow, and I know that it was all the same thing, but it just
all those figures that you mentioned are coming out, so I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm excited about all this stuff.
Yeah,
this all these releases have got me really fired up for Master stuff. So
yeah, me too. All right. Next up, we have the Sorceress in her original Filmation colors.
Yeah, she looks great. I don't remember ever seeing her even as a kid.
Well, here you go. Here she is.
Nice. Yeah, that one's in really good shape, isn't it?
Yes. I made sure to get a good one. Yeah, because I was looking at it just trying to see what the similarities and differences were for the figure, because I didn't remember that the Sorceress had her like orange on the inside of her wings, because I'm always remembering the classics version, how it had that blue and the orange in there, and I was looking at this going, why didn't they do that? And then I pulled out the vintage figure and I was like, okay, it makes sense now.
Yep. I like this sculpt much better in these colors. I mean, I think it's cool that we got the Temple of Darkness version.
Yeah.
Just to have it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of white, and it's very plain. It's hard to pick out any detail to it.
Yeah, I actually had to look at this one closely too, because I wasn't sure if those little marks, that are outlining the torso,
feathery look.
Yeah, the feathery look were there, and they are sculpted in there. So
yeah, I mean, they just don't stand out because it's all white.
Not at all. I just thought it was just a plain white dress, and that was it.
Yeah, and I think it all just kind of blends together. But for this one, you can really pick out all the different elements. Like the actual like kind of bird head, and it just kind of makes it pop to have all the different colors on it, and it looks great.
Yeah, they have an interesting color choice for her helmet, that the part that curves around her head,
gold.
Because it's a gold instead of that orange, and so I just thought that was an interesting color choice. But I think they just did a great job with the paint app overall.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing. Is that how the vintage one is colored, or is that
no, it's not. So the vintage one has the orange that matches the orange on her wings. And so yeah, I'm assuming too, like we couldn't see the back of this figure because it was right up against the display and there was no glass behind it, so I'm assuming that it's going to be colored the same way on her wings. This is more of a wait and see piece for me to see what the other parts look like, but she looks great from what we can see. All right, next up we have one of my favorites in the line, Mini Comic Stratos.
Yeah, he looks pretty cool. I really like kind of the combination of colors that he has.
Yeah.
He doesn't even feel like the same character to me.
Yeah, it's funny because I was looking at the Origins one, and it's actually a straight repaint of the figure. There's nothing else that's different, and I was actually surprised because I thought they would have added those feathers around the neck, but you're totally right. It looks like a brand new figure. It looks like Stratos, but it could be a totally different bird person.
Yeah, but I think the color combination really looks cool. I hope that the actual retail release comes out this vibrant, because like that blue and the yellow and the red are just so bold, especially against that flesh tone that they have. it looked really cool together.
Yeah, I think the flesh tone makes the hair that's sculpted on there stand out a lot more than the gray version. So yeah, you can see it's got a lot hairier chest, but it's the same sculpt as the other Stratos, but it just pops a lot more.
And I think having kind of the yellow wrist bracers and then the blue wing over the top of it, it just kind of continues that same color scheme, and then having the red and the blue on the mask and that green mace, it seems a little odd for him.
Yeah.
It's funny because that's Clawful's weapon, right?
Right.
And it makes me wonder if they were setting the thing up and Clawful dropped his weapon and somebody didn't realize and just gave it to Stratos. You know, they're just like, oh, here, I guess this goes with him, you know?
Yep. I think you're right on with that now that you think about it, because Clawful is wrapped up in that tentacle, and he doesn't even have a weapon, so he actually has Jitsu's weapon.
Or maybe this is like a Toy Story kind of thing going on, and while nobody was watching, the battle was raging, and Clawful dropped his mace, and Stratos was like scooped it up. And then people came back in the room and he already had it in his hand, so he had to continue with it, you know?
I think so. I mean, they were right outside of Disneyland, so you never know.
Right. It could happen.
All right, next up we have Jitsu.
Yeah, Jitsu. I'm excited to get Jitsu. I never had him as a kid. I loved him in the Classics line, and of course in that NECA mini statue line. And so seeing him in the Origins line is going to be really cool, and especially with a vac metal hand, it just looks so great. I'm really excited to see how it comes out on the figure. It's funny because I don't want to see that on everything.
No.
Like, I'm glad they didn't do it on Fisto's hand, because I think that it just wouldn't look right somehow. But I think on Jitsu it does look cool.
Yeah, I think they did a great job on the head sculpt, and I'm actually surprised that they didn't use Mr. T's armor from the Masters of the WWE Universe line, because I took a look at the back and there's no cutouts for the sickles, and I thought that they would just basically reuse that part, but I think it would be cool if they did, because if they released a weapons pack in the future and had some sickles, then you can just throw them on the back there and you can kind of enhance that figure. But
it could be that the sickle, that they are going to have a spot on the back, and maybe it just wasn't ready for this, because we're a little ways out from this release probably. I mean, we don't have the Web Store and Green Goddess. That wave hasn't really even hit yet. I mean, there's a few people that have gotten them, but I don't think it's out widely available.
No.
So we probably have 3 or 4 months. Maybe there's time for that to still be added. I know.
So impatient.
Yeah, me too. If we could get this stuff out in the next month, it'd be great.
That'd be awesome. I know, or just have it available at the con. It's like, here it is, and now you can buy it. Great.
Yeah. And the other thing, I love the idea of a weapons pack. I just don't know if I see them doing that, because I feel like we're a year. As far as planning goes, we've already seen stuff for next spring. At that point, we're 2 years into the line. I kind of was hoping to see something like that, like a weapons pack announced or something. But I don't know. I think there's definitely demand for it. I think you could do a weapons pack and a head pack.
Yeah, you can also do an armor pack too, because I remember they were doing all sorts of stuff back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So there's so many things that they could do.
Yeah, you could really just label it an accessory pack and do weapons, armor, heads. I mean, you could do a couple of them, really.
Yeah, maybe include some little creatures that came with that Battlefield Warrior set. I mean, I think it's all about just building out the shelf and the display and like all of these things, just to add to that. They actually did a good job with the gold accents on this figure, and I like that his boot has a gold fur on it. I think they did a good job just tying the reds and the golds in on this figure.
Yeah, I like that too. I think that's pretty cool.
We did get a snapshot of his sword, and Clawful has his sword, and I just thought that was the funniest thing. I was like, okay, I'm going to take a picture of this, but it's kind of obscure.
It is. I was wondering why it was missing, and I hadn't noticed that Clawful had it, but I think this further proves my Toy Story idea.
I think so. All right, next up we have Anti-Eternia He-Man, which I think is like the Bizarro version of He-Man who can summon the power of Hellskull. I mean, how cool is that? I'm
pretty excited to get him. I think it's a really cool design. I mean, it's obviously just a repaint, but it's a really cool one. I like it a lot. But I think that it's cool to have him because, in that fan poll that they put out that had like the mini comic Triclops, Anti-Eternia Man-at-Arms, and then Wondar, and then there was the other version of Keldor. I like the idea of kind of building the little subsets as we go along, like an Anti-Eternia group, it kind of goes along with just some of the other things like Lords of Power or, just some of the other things that they're doing. I think it's cool building out those little groups as we go.
Yeah, I like that. That'd be so easy for them to do because it's a straight up repaint. And I wonder if they were testing out a different paint app for this figure because this is more of a magenta color than a red for the hair. And also in the Classics figure, the boots are black. It's a really dark figure, but I actually do like the magenta here because again, it's that bright colors. And, I think I would want a little bit more color. And I think it works on the Anti-Eternia He-Man in this version. I think it'd be interesting to see in a different paint app like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think it looks pretty cool. It does break up the kind of the black and the red that's used for the rest of the figure.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm excited to see is how that power sword came out. In just black. I think it'll be cool to see.
And one that was very, very difficult to see is our next figure, and that was Clawful. Now, he wasn't standing up in a display, so we have very limited shots and angles of him, but he's just grabbed by this tentacle monster in this display.
He looks super cool, though. He looks just like what we'd want him to be. I'm a little surprised that they did this just because, everybody wants to see him.
Yeah.
But maybe it's a little bit of kind of like some mystery left. That the figure's coming. You kind of see that he's got his usual elements. He's got the claw, the red shorts with the kind of that purple buckle, the belt or whatever. And
this was hard because I had to take an obligatory crotch shot just to get some more photos of him. So apologies for that. And, I was really looking at the legs and the claw here.
Gratuitous crotch shots.
Yep.
I always liked that his skin color was kind of on the darker shade. I thought that was it looked really cool with the red. It kind of gave him that been out in the sun kind of baked look. I think that's cool.
Baked lobster.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll swap out the legs for normal legs at some point. I think that'd be interesting, like a Chase figure. In some figures, he had those buzz-off looking legs, and then he came out in standard legs. Maybe they ran out of the buzz-off sculpt or they lost it, but I think that'd be cool.
It could happen. Maybe they do it on purpose this time because of that. You know, and I think they've done a good job of doing things like making changes based on fan reaction or, just trying to kind of changing things as they go. But I think, we never know how that'll work out. I think that'd be a cool thing to see them do, though.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next up we have Mini Comic Trapjaw.
This is another one that I don't have any connection to, but it's a really cool color scheme. I like the bright green and with the silver. Before, I didn't even think about it, but I mentioned before that I thought it would look cool, that it was cool that the weapons were black against that silver, and you said it's probably just that's what they had available. They just have them sculpted in silver.
Right, yeah, because if you look at the other angle of the shot too, his arm attachment piece is also black. The continuity is off, and so it's just making me think that it's just unfinished. But if you wanted to, you can throw the original Trapjaw's weapons on him, and you can have it that way.
It's like Burger King. That's true. I should be hoping for silver to be able to swap them out, because if you get silver with this, then you could add those to Roboto.
Oh, yeah.
Just having the swappability between all three is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I think it's fun.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was looking at the Origins Trapjaw, and it's pretty much a straight Trapjaw repaint from the waist up, and I'm not sure what his lower body is made of. Maybe it's just a standard leg with a different painted boot.
Yeah, that could be. And the boots are pretty cool. What is that, a brownish red with white? It's a little different look, so pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that they didn't give him just a standard paint app on the boot. I'm looking forward to this figure. Actually, I don't have any attachment to the comics or anything, but I like the fact that they're doing this stuff, and just this one is just so bright. I mean, I'll be able to pick it out of your shelf like that if you have it on your shelf.
Oh, it'll definitely be over there, and this goes along with that same theme of having, it was the same way with classics. The more you got into the line, the more built out some of those groups were. So I think we have to hope for some of the other ones. Maybe a mini comic Roboto.
That'd be cool to have like an entire line. I know they're repaints and I know they're duplicates, but I just think it would look awesome.
I'm good with it, though, because there are little differences aside from the paint. Like you're talking about, the lower body is different. You're getting different swappable parts for the attachments and stuff. So it's just repaints, but it's cool because you can use them in different ways, and I like that a lot.
That's true. All right, next up we have our deluxe figures, and starting off with Flying Fists He-Man.
Yeah, he looks really cool. Once again, the back metal's awesome.
Yeah.
The 3 different colors of it looks really great, and I think it's going to look super cool on the shelf. I like that there's a different head sculpt, more of that vac metal on the shield, so there's a lot of cool stuff to this figure.
Yeah, the head sculpt looks really cool. It's like that windswept look.
Yeah, I wonder if there'll be a standard head along with this, or if it'll just come with one head. I think it probably depends on how much money they've spent on new tooling and on the shield and different things, and of course the back metal. But
yeah, so it looks like that shield spins. Yeah, it's a really bulky shield too. I like it.
Yeah, it's got a cool design. I like the gold coloring of the kind of the base of it.
Yeah,
looks cool.
Yeah, all those colors play really nicely off of each other. Yeah, they must have spent a lot on this figure, because I was looking at the close-up shot too, and there's a little place for your thumb, and there's a little disc in the back.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's got the dial on the belt. Yeah, it's
the dial. Yes.
Yep, it's
Words
gonna
are
be
not
super
coming
cool
to me tonight. Words are hard. They have just a straight gray, kind of a flat gray piece on there. What are your thoughts on that? Is that unfinished? Should they make that vac metal, or should it just be gray?
Maybe you can't really make that in vac metal, and also if you're going to be sliding that mace, maybe it would get kind of chipped up and scratched and stuff.
That's
so
true.
Maybe they just did kind of like a flat color to keep from that happening.
I'll go with that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, who knows? I mean, I'm no toy designer, but
will we play one on TV?
Oh yeah, that's true.
All right, next up we have Deluxe Terror Claws Skeletor.
Yeah, once again, no Terror Claws Skeletor for me as a kid, but this one looks really cool. I love the vac metal of it. It's a funny design looking at it because it is short.
Yeah,
it's
like a crop top.
I wish it was about half again that long, but I think they're doing the same thing here as far as the back plastic piece isn't the vac metal. So I like it. I think that kind of purple in the vac metal looks really cool.
Yeah.
And we were talking about whether or not this is a new head sculpt for Skeletor.
Yes, it looks like one to me.
It's got more green. There's hardly any yellow to this, which is pretty cool, because I kind of always like that brighter green of Skeletor's face. I think that's pretty cool looking. It kind of has the same dead smile the battle armor Skeletor comes with, but it's open mouth instead of just that closed mouth. So
yeah,
I feel like it's got elements of that and just more green.
Yeah.
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Something else that I noticed, if you look at the back of Skeletor, below that pink clip that's sticking out, you see the riveting above the red belt. I don't know what that is. I mean, is it just basically, it's kind of where the dial would go with that Flying Fist He-Man. So I'm not sure or why they even have that there, because he's not supposed to have an action feature like that.
Maybe they just made the same thing for both of them.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
It could be because maybe that clip piece has to fit inside the back somewhere. I don't know if it's attached to the armor or if it's attached to the back, but maybe it had to fit in there somewhere, so they had to reuse that sculpt maybe.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look like it's a working piece, where the He-Man one kind of looks like, although it's tough on his too, because it's right at the bottom of that vac metal armor, because he's actually being a little bit more modest and wearing a full shirt instead of Skeletor's sports bra that he's got on.
Yeah. I can't unsee that now, thanks.
Yep. No problem. That's what I'm here for.
I think on that note, we're going to wrap up the Origins figures and move on to the rulers of the
Skeletor.
Yep. Sports Bra Skeletor did it for me. We're going to move on to the rulers of the Sun figures, and we have an amazing release of Sunman.
Yeah, he looks pretty cool. I didn't know much about Sunman before this, but it's been cool kind of hearing about the backstory. My youngest son is super excited for Sunman. He loves the flame effect that goes on the sword. I like the cape. It's a different design. I think the shield looks pretty cool. Is the armor vac metal on him, or is it just a glossy plastic?
It looks like it's a glossy plastic. Glossy plastic.
Because I feel like they said vac metal in the presentation.
Okay.
But it doesn't look like vac metal. Maybe it's just a different finish. So it's still the same material. It just doesn't have that chrome. It's just more of a glossy finish to the surface. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I like the way that they incorporate just different ways to represent the sun. Like, he has a different representation of the sun on the armor. He's got it on his shield. I actually really like the way that they did the armor. Just having it kind of be open on the sides.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I want to see how he looks without the cape, because I'm guessing that's a separate piece. Because to me, that's always been kind of a fun part of Motu, is taking the armor off and swapping them around and taking off the cape and just playing around with all the different elements there. And so I think that'll be a cool thing to see how he looks. And then of course he's got the alternate head sculpt. He's got the closed fists that come with him and stuff. So that flame effect is awesome.
I like that one a lot.
To me, it's better than the one that Battle Armor He-Man came with. This just has a more natural look to it for flame or whatever.
Definitely. Yeah, the packaging on this one is awesome. It reminds me of the She-Ra one that came out last year.
It's definitely got the kind of the deluxe packaging treatment. The comic looks really cool.
Comic looks awesome,
and I've avoided reading any of it because I want to wait till I get it in hand and kind of look through it and read over everything, really be able to enjoy the art and all that stuff. So
that's cool. Yeah, I'm excited for another subline. I think it adds to the displayability of just the whole line in general. And, I think if kids were actually playing with this, like it sounds like your son will, there's different ways to incorporate those figures in the Masters line and also just have that crossover into the Rulers of the Sun line.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do it, because they had that slide that said, Sunman would be part of the regular line. He'll get a regular release. And it said alongside Digitino, Pighead, and more starting in spring of 2022.
Yeah.
So will it be like a Rulers of the Sun wave, basically? Or are they going to throw in a single figure? Or just kind of how's that going to be? Maybe it's a box set? Who knows?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Next PowerCon.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know. I had to look up images I hadn't seen. I don't remember ever seeing these as a kid.
No. I had to look up photos of Digitino, and I threw them in here just so we could see what these things look like. So Digitino is like a part human, part computer in the lore. He's got really interesting chest armor that kind of bears, his upper chest on the left side quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what the significance of the 2117 is on his chest, but I'm sure somebody out there would know what that is. And it kind of looks like that's a glow-in-the-dark piece.
I was going to say that. It looks like a glow-in-the-dark piece, and I hope it is. I love glow-in-the-dark anything, so...
Yeah, I just wanted to see what a potential Digitino figure would look like in the Origins line. And, we also have the Pighead figure coming out, so I wanted to look up some pictures of that. And I think it's a really kooky, cool-looking figure.
It is, yeah. I think it'll look great on the shelf. I hope the coloring is just like this, because it's so bright and so colorful. Yeah, it's got a lot of cool stuff about it. I love that the pink and the blue, and that mace looks really cool.
Yeah, it gives me hope that this would be colored this way because of the way that Trapjaw is colored. It's pretty much exactly the same, and so I think they have that formula there.
Yeah, I agree. And he's got a really cool head sculpt.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of cool stuff there. The spikes of kind of that harness going over his chest. Like it a lot.
Yeah, it'll be cool if some of these parts are interchangeable and swappable with the Masters line, because then you can make some really crazy things.
Oh yeah, and I think they will be. I think that's the fun thing about it. And his crotch piece, I guess, is textured. It almost looks like snakeskin instead of like the fur.
Oh yeah.
And so then you're getting into a whole new like texture, and you can really change things up, and then maybe you're leaning towards like the Snake Man and things like that. So I think there's a lot of cool things going on here that we're not seeing yet, but I think that they're kind of setting them up. So
yeah, you said the magic word, Snake Man.
Yep, I'm excited for the Snake Man, but
yeah, they need to. I was hoping to see some Snake Man releases at this PowerCon, but maybe next year.
And really, that's everything for the figures. I do feel like we've got one more unannounced figure, because that kind of second wave that they showed that included Anti-Eternia He-Man, Clawful, and the mini-comic Trapjaw, that's only 3 figures. So I feel like there's another figure slot there. And you've already got 2 variant figures in that wave. Yeah. So there's probably another standard release, most likely another hero to kind of go against Clawful. So, I mean, you could be looking at Cyclone, maybe Mossman, could be Mechanic. We've got Mechanic armor coming with Stinkor.
That would be awesome.
So there's a few choices. I think those are probably I would say they're the kind of the top contenders, but who knows? And then they also showed, as far as stuff coming to Mattel Creations, they showed 4 different slots, 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall. I kind of got the impression, and I don't know if I read into it or if they actually said Wondar and Koldar were going to be the first two, but then the other two slots for the fall were just left kind of unannounced. They just said TBD, you know. Right. So it'll be interesting to see what those are. You know, maybe they're another mini comic release.
Oh, that'd be great.
You know, another variant release. I don't see him doing a regular figure like Cyclone or anybody. I think it's good. There's a lot of stuff coming. So I think I'm really excited for Origins and see where we're going with it. So
yeah, me too. And we hope you enjoyed all of the close-up shots and different angles that we took from the Mattel booth at PowerCon. So let us know the figures or Mega Construx sets that you're looking forward to in the comments below. And don't forget to check out our Revelation deep dive for more details and breakdowns of those figures too. Also, if you wanted to know what PowerCon was like, check out the experience video we made as well. So I know that we're looking forward to all of these new releases, and that concludes our PowerCon 2021 deep dive series from the Mattel booth. I'm Michael.
And I'm Larry.
And thanks for tuning into Toy Habits.